If you are over the age of 35, stop everything you're doing right now. After a lifetime of eating fatty foods, you may run the risks of a stroke or heart attack due to plaque buildup in your veins and arteries. To learn how you can reduce your risks, visit youthfountainlab.com or call 1-800-853-7856 today. This may be a life-changing call for you or someone you love. Thank you, and we hope to hear from you.
Yes, welcome back to the African Diaspora News channel. We appreciate you tuning in. Remember to support the platform, like and subscribe, spread the word and sign up to the website. So the story for today, the headline is Jake Paul claims talks have started over a potential mega fight with Conor McGregor. Now the reason I flagged this up, this is an interesting story. I'm not really sure who I want to lose more in this fight. You know, I wish there was a way they could somehow both lose. I cannot stand either one of these guys. Let's start with Jake Paul. So Jake Paul is just this kind of overrated, white hype. I'm not trying to racialize it, but that's what it is. You know, anytime there's a sort of fighter with a modicum of success, the media is all over it, and we know that black fighters are not treated in the same way. But this video isn't really about that. I'm sure a lot of you saw the recent fight with Jake Paul and Floyd Mayweather. Now, in my view, this was a fight that was more of a spectacle. I don't think in many ways the fight should really have happened, although I do not blame Floyd Mayweather for getting an easy bag. And that's what it was. You know, a lot of people took the sort of judges who I think scored it as a draw or what have you, or there was no winner. A lot of fans really sort of took this to kind of elevate Jake Paul to a place where, you know, this guy does not belong. And I think there's an argument to say, and again, I don't really blame Mayweather for doing this. I still think personally, having watched the fight, that Mayweather prolonged the fight for as long as he could. You know, Mayweather was making an easy bag and a hell of a lot of money. And of course, with each commercial break that was happening in the Mayweather-Jake Paul fight, you know, the longer the fight went on, Mayweather was making more and more money. You know, it's hard for me to imagine that Mayweather couldn't have shut down that fight whenever he really, really wanted to. I think Mayweather played a very coy game, a very shrewd, business-like game, and more power to him. You know, there was a point in that fight where it actually looked pretty much like Jake Paul was knocked out on his feet. And if you go back and slow down the footage, you can see Mayweather almost like holding Jake Paul up. Jake Paul looks ready to go, and Mayweather basically propped him up. And if that's the case, you know, more power to Mayweather. I'm not sure it's great for the sport of boxing, but more power to Mayweather. And I think the other thing regarding Mayweather is the reality in America, for sure, is that here's a guy who, whatever you think about boxing across all divisions, you know, there is a legit argument, of course, to say Mayweather pound for pound is arguably one of the greatest, if not the greatest. He's won the most amount of fights, never lost, you know, throwing the least amount of punches while conceding the least amount of punches too. And at his prime and at his best, watching Mayweather's offense and his defense was a thing of beauty and a sight to behold, 100%. But I also think that America, the sort of racist, you know, American establishment, those elements of the establishment that are racist, I think they are desperate to see Mayweather lose his record in the ring. I think there are big parts of the establishment that cannot stand to see a successful black man with an unbroken record in the ring, just dispatching opponent after opponent. So let's see what happens. I mean, Jake Paul, there's some big question marks over comments he's made in the past. But let's see, you know, Jake Paul, Conor McGregor. The interesting one really is, I suppose, Jake Paul went longer in the ring with Mayweather than Mayweather and McGregor did. So I suppose by that logic, maybe Jake Paul can deal with Conor McGregor even quicker. But I'm really not a big fan of McGregor. Like McGregor, you know, in the run up to McGregor's fight with Mayweather in 2017, I remember watching that fight live. I tell you what, Conor McGregor like used racist language, or if he wasn't doing that, and I think he knew what he was doing, he was using deliberately provocative language to Mayweather. It was racist language, calling Mayweather boy in the run up to the fight. You know, they tried to say, oh, McGregor tried to say, where I'm from, everyone calls everyone boy. But unless you're a complete ignoramus, actually, which maybe McGregor is, you can't call a black man boy. And you can't call a black man a boy and pretend you don't understand the racist connotations with it. But both these fighters are kind of massively overhyped. I mean, yeah, McGregor in his heyday was a top fighter in his field, but that day is well and truly gone. Jake Paul needs to be put in his place. I mean, this guy has got some audacity. You know, this guy I heard recently was talking about fighting Mike Tyson in the ring. You know, Mike Tyson could be in his 60s or 70s and probably handle Jake Paul. I hope somebody puts this overhyped YouTuber in his place soon enough so he can go back to just making YouTube videos. It's not hating, it's just a respect for the sport of boxing. You know, Jake Paul's going to go and try and make his money. But yeah, these are just two sort of caricatures, two characters in the ring now. Jake Paul and Conor McGregor. I don't know who I want to lose more, really. I remember seeing some grotesque post of Conor McGregor bigging up Donald Trump, and I remember, I can probably find the tweet to put in this video. I remember a tweet by Conor McGregor sucking up to Donald Trump, the son of a Klansman, white supremacist, and Conor McGregor tweeted his congratulations to Donald Trump, and he said, what you've achieved is no mean feat. And you know how Conor McGregor spelled feet? He spelled it F-E-E-T, as in feet. You know, this guy is a piece of work. But let's see what happens. Let's see what happens with this fight and if it goes ahead. Probably won't go ahead. Maybe it's just more hype talk. But yeah, I want to see Jake Paul put in his place for sure, because he's been given this credibility after his fight with Floyd Mayweather that he does not deserve. Like, Jake Paul's not fit enough to shine Floyd Mayweather's shoes. I don't care what anyone says. I'm not saying Floyd Mayweather's a perfect human being by any stretch. I'm just talking about Mayweather's boxing ability and his record. You know, the establishment was desperate to see Mayweather losing the ring. And Mayweather said the fight with him and Jake Paul was legalized bank robbery. It probably was. You know, in many ways, if you really thought about it, you probably could have envisaged the fight going the full 7-8 rounds or whatever it was. But let's see. This will be a spectacle in itself. Jake Paul claims talks have started over the Conor McGregor fight. Let's see where it goes. Be an interesting one if it goes ahead. But yeah, and just on that note, actually, of course, you know, good luck to Deontay Wilder if the fight with Tyson Fury goes ahead. Because you know something, I realised a lot of white fighters in this field, they get a free pass from any criticism. And you know what? Deontay Wilder is a hell of a fighter, and he's got an unblemished, clean record. You know, he's never taken no performance-enhancing drugs. He's just a pure, talented, naturally gifted, hard-working fighter, and I think he doesn't get the respect that he really earns as clearly or arguably one of the hardest punchers the world has ever seen. You know, if Deontay Wilder was white, you know, the media establishment would treat him completely differently. But we all know, let's see what happens. Just wanted to bring that headline to you today, a quick story. Thank you once again, as always, for tuning in. This is the African Diaspora News channel. My name is Richard Sudan, and we will see you next time.
I'm Don with the Law Office of Don R. Dennis Jr. My office helps businesses that are involved in complex business deals. The issue is this: when you sign an agreement, are there adequate protections to help you in the event things don't go as planned? And do you comprehensively understand all the terms in the agreement? As an engineer, experienced attorney, and certified privacy professional, I've seen all types of agreements. My office's motto is engage diligence, because I believe clients have the right to a responsive attorney that has the same energy for them from the beginning until the end. If you're looking for an attorney that's going to fight for you and not with you on your matter, contact my office at 213-455-0880.
Thank you for watching, and make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out the African Diaspora News Channel app in the Google Play and Apple App Store.